Hi, welcome to A Cuppa with a driving instructor. Tonight we are talking about myths and rumours. We asked you guys for your experiences with myths and rumours. Let me put my teeth in to do with our industry. So we're going to crack on. First of all, let's introduce ourselves. Scott, you go first.
Hi, I'm Scott. I'm a driving instructor, and today with an actual cuppa.
Amazing. Yeah, I don't think didn't you have one on the last one? I'm sure you did.
If
Maybe.
truth be told, it was Vimto.
Oh gosh, dearie me. At least you're not drinking on the job.
Gee.
And I am Becky. Hello, everyone. I am a driving instructor and trainer, and I also have a cuppa. I always have a cuppa. I usually go for some proper glam mugs, but I've just got a normal mug today.
No sparkle today.
No sparkle today, no. I need to get I was in Home Bargains the other day and they've got some like Nightmare Before Christmas Jack Skellington ones. I'll get one of them.
Is Halloween your thing?
Oh, good question. We're not talking about that. No, probably Christmas. Wait for the Christmas mugs. They'll be good.
I'm definitely a Christmas person. Although I know this is not what we're chatting about today, but I was on a lesson today and somebody said that they were buying each other, her and her partner, a boo basket.
Elaborate?
Yeah, have you heard that before?
No, I haven't.
A
No.
boo basket. So
I'm gonna write it down and Google it.
apparently it's this thing where it's a basket of gifts, but mm, I was thinking it was going to be like Halloween based, and I think there's a couple of Halloween bits in it, but also she was saying that there's like new bed linen going in there and things, a bit like just presents, but for a different time of year. And I'm like, okay,
Just well, yeah. So it's like a
but
gift basket and a hamper of just random stuff.
yeah, and with something Halloweeny in it, I think yeah, just another excuse to have some more presents. I'm down for that. I mean, if you want to buy me one, I'll happily be your guinea pig, not a problem.
Yeah, I'll post you a boo basket. There we
Thank you, mate.
go. Okay, so we're going to crack on because we got a lot of comments about myths and rumors, and I really, really liked this thread that you popped on asking people, and I am really excited to get your opinion on some of these things. So we're going to start off with some myths and rumors that maybe learners have heard that us as driving instructors we hear, and we think, oh my goodness, where have you got that from?
Before you
Um,
do,
so, oh,
before
okay,
you
go.
do, do you like rumours?
I am a big believer that a rumor starts from somewhere. I don't think that there might be some sort of rumor mill somewhere where rumors are just fabricated for no reason for someone's pleasure. I think rumors start from somewhere, and it's a bit like Chinese whispers, isn't it? It evolves over time. I'm fond of a rumor. Yeah, I'm okay with a rumor. What about you? Do you like a rumor?
Um, I mean, we could be really cliche here, couldn't we? But they've got a foundation from somewhere, haven't they? They,
Absolutely.
they come from somewhere, whether it's lack of information, ignorance, whatever it might be. But I think they create a good foundation for conversation. Certainly in the car, like you said, some of the learners that they come out with these things, and I always have a giggle. Maybe that's because I don't want to say I'm more knowledgeable, but maybe I kind of understand where they're coming from with it or why it might have been said. Because if we think about it as instructors, sometimes, I'm not saying we lie, but we sometimes sculpt some of our lessons and we tell people that, maybe try this first because there's sort of a process. And sometimes some of that information gets misconstrued. So, well, my instructor told me I've got to do it like this. And we're thinking, well, he might have suggested that in the
Mm,
early days to help you out with this. And let's
mm.
explore that a little bit more. So, and I think I can certainly see where some rumours come from, but I like them because they create a bit of a conversation, and it's an opportunity to educate.
Perfect. It's
Sorry,
worked really well. But yeah, you hear some from some learners and you think, bloody hell, where have you got that from? And it's usually my dad's uncle's best mate's gardener's friend said they passed in 2 hours or they took the test in a Ferrari or, or
yep.
something like that. There's
Chinese
always
whispers happens, right?
something. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, what do you reckon about the rumor that you're not allowed music on your driving test? I hear that a lot. I've had people come to me from other instructors and we'll have the radio on and they'll say, "Oh, we're not meant to have it on." And I'll go, "Okay, well, tell me more about that." So, what do you think? Tell me more about having music on your driving test. Rumor, myth, or true?
Well, uh, going back to what I just said, is why might that have been said in the first place, right? Lots of different reasons. Maybe the instructor doesn't like it. Maybe they've had an examiner that doesn't like it, and there's always rules or guidelines and standard operating procedures and things like this, and people interpret them sometimes their own way, don't they? And I
Mhm.
think it really depends who you speak to, and again, one person somewhere in Sheffield has said it, and it's trickled down through the country, and all of a sudden, half of Kent and London aren't allowed music on. But yeah, I think there might be instructors where they think, oh, it's going to be a distraction, without actually exploring how that might affect the learner. There's a time and place for it, isn't there? Perhaps on their first lesson, maybe not the best idea, or first time on a complex junction motorway, maybe not the best idea. But no, it's absolutely a myth and rumor. There's no rules that say you can't have music playing. Um,
How do you think instructors could go about that conversation, talking about distractions in general, so that the learner's a little bit more informed to make that decision themselves on their test? Do you want your music on or not? How do you think we could start that conversation in the car so that they are more informed?
I think that's down. I'm not trying to cop out here, but I certainly think it's down to the preference of, to some degree, of the instructor, whether they're
Hmm.
comfortable about it. Is it going to distract them in the first instance about what their lesson encompasses?
Hmm.
Um, if there's a lot of responsibility laid on the instructor, how is it going to affect them first?
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
very good point. Mm.
and then how's that going to transfer over? So yeah, certainly a conversation needs to happen. How to go about it? Do they normally drive around with music on? I remember passing my test many years ago. I couldn't drive around with the radio on. People talk to me in the car, and I'm like, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
I need I need to hear the engine, and it sounds really daft. I'm listening for gear changes, and I'm looking at rev counter, and I'm like super focused. I took it really seriously, and I couldn't any noise. And I guess I'm quite sensitive to sound,
Mm.
especially noticing it as I get older. It was a real distraction, so I'm not sure I would have. Yeah,
Mm.
I don't think I would have wanted it. However,
I think
now
it's
I'm
um,
I I do enjoy it.
mm,
It's more relaxing, but is my skill increased and my confidence and enthusiasm increased with
yeah.
that? So I think it's the right place, the right time. But
Mm.
certainly, as you said there, to talk about distractions in the car, whether that is music or something else, is definitely
Mhm.
worth a conversation, and just bring it up. Do you plan on listening to music? Do you find music calming? How does it make you feel?
Yeah,
Does it keep you
absolutely.
focused? How would you like to introduce it into your lessons? At what point are you expecting to do it? So dealing with expectations there as well. You know,
Mm.
volume. How do you think the examiner might feel with one genre and another? I mean, not that it matters too much to them, but you know, something easy listening, I think, is good. I remember actually not too long ago listening to a Dipod podcast, and
Yeah.
um, and they spoke about this and music on tests and things, and he said that there was I can't remember the song name now, but there was some really choice lyrics in this, and he was like,
Oh gosh.
not sure that's a great soundtrack to have. But I certainly, most of my learners will have music on it, and it's their choice,
Mm.
or the radio, right? And I even suggest to them as maybe as a distraction on the night before the test, instead of scouring hours and hours of test routes and how to hold the
TikTok.
steering wheel and and all this sort of probably more TikTok. That you're a bit down with the kids than I am, but um, I say to them, do you want to create a playlist on Spotify,
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
this? And they're like, okay, cool. So it gives them a bit more something to do, and
Mm.
it takes the mind off the test. And they come back in, and it's a conversation in the morning of like, what have you come up with? Where should we
Yeah.
start? What volume are we setting it at, and things like this. And we discover what's a distraction and what's not. But yeah, that's kind of how I go about it.
I think that's really good. And talking about distractions, and music being a distraction, having those conversations early on can help you when you start to introduce the sat nav and how that can be a distraction, and it can link as well as other stuff. But we tend to, I think no matter how long you've been driving, we all collectively as drivers turn the radio down when we're lost, when we don't know where we are, when we're trying to find somewhere, don't
Yeah,
we?
yeah.
We all,
If I can hear better, I can see better.
yeah, yeah, right.
But there's got to
So,
be. I mean, I don't want to go too much down how the brain works and psychology, but there are some links there.
absolutely. My learners always joke that they can hear me before they can see me outside. I have the radio that loud, it's ridiculous. Um,
I'm not going to agree to that.
So it's a rumor, it's a myth, absolutely loud music on. Have your conversations with your learners nice and early. I love that. What
Just very
about
quickly, do you? Yeah, I mean, I guess you pretty much understood it. So you're okay with music on?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For me as an instructor, yeah. So I'm a massive music fan. I've got it on all the time. I drive with it on all the time. The louder the better for me. I can concentrate with it. But everyone's different. And sometimes with learners, we will experiment. How loud can we go before it starts to affect your driving? What do you think about that? What if you had a car full of people who are
I love the
chatting
what if questions.
non-stop? You are.
I love the what if questions. The hypothetical. Yeah, great.
Yeah, yeah, because you could be listening to uh, Oasis on the radio or whatever, or you could have a car full of mates who are chatting because you're designated driver and you pick them up from the pub. And can you handle that? How will you know if you can handle that? And that can then link to the driving test as well. How can you handle silence in the car? Are you better off having the radio on, maybe?
I
So
agree.
yeah, amazing. Cool. I'm glad we've got one. We've ticked one off. We know that that is a myth and a rumor. I love that.
I'm sure there are people out there that say no, definitely my test centre they don't allow it, and you know what? I'm not here to disagree with that. If that's what they say, then who am I to say they're a liar? But for the most part, no
I
issue.
think it's like you said, it's what it is a joint effort. It's what the learner wants and what the instructor wants. But at the end of the day, it is the learner's test. I always say to the learner to help ease their anxiety a bit and make them feel a bit better. It's not the DVSA's test. It's not my test. It's your test. And if you want to hum Disney songs all the way around, if you want to listen to the soundtrack to Wicked the musical, whatever you need, as long as it's on low enough, as long as you can hear the examiner, you can hear the sat nav if you've got that then there's no issue as long as it's not distracting. But yeah, talking about that as early on as you can is going to help the test, definitely.
So my next recommendations to my guys are going to be like instead of music, do you want to listen to a podcast?
Ah, nice plug. And this kind of links nicely to the next myth and rumor that I spotted is that learners aren't allowed to talk on their test. What do you think to that?
I mean, I've never come across that. I
Have you
mean,
not?
I mean, I say I've never come across that in terms of somebody saying that, but I mean, I conduct mock tests, and I also deliver. I'm an examiner for the DIA, and I kind of I do approach that subject with the delegates in that I say to them, I appreciate it's your test, and I don't want to be a distraction, but if you do want to talk, then you lead the conversation. Otherwise, I won't. I don't want to be a distraction. And I kind of bring that into my mock test with my learners as well, in that, just be yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
I think
absolutely.
certainly my local test centres, I would have thought that when I present a candidate for test, that they kind of know what sort of person I'm bringing and that this person's probably had the Scott hot tips
Mm,
on, when we're learning roundabouts and they've wanted some advice and just count out loud, sound crazy. And they do, you know.
mm,
So I guess they learn what to expect from
mm.
certain instructors because we've all got our own top tips, haven't we? And I definitely talk about this, in perhaps not rule is you can talk, just be yourself is kind of the route I go down. So if you
Okay.
need to talk yourself through something, it might even not just help yourself, but relax the examiner as well. Because when you're commentary driving with me, I know what you're about to do. I know what you're thinking,
Hmm.
and so I do definitely give them an insight into how my mind works when I'm coaching them along.
Mm.
Um, Yeah.
I've had that before. I've had she came back. The examiner said, "I'm pleased to tell you you passed." And the examiner said it was when you told me that you'd seen that man, you'd seen his feet under the van. She said, if you'd not said that out loud, I might not have known that you'd seen, and it was then that you reacted, kind of thing. And I thought, good on her, because she used to do that in a lesson. She'd go, oh, I can see him. Where's he gone? And I knew that she'd spotted him. It worked. It was great.
Devil's advocate though, I can't see anyone behind that van, and there is, you know. So I guess
Well,
there's
yeah.
two sides of that coin, isn't there?
I once had a lady came back and she'd passed, and we were driving home, and she was really excited, really happy, and she said she kept asking the examiner questions about her job and about how long have you been an examiner for? Do you enjoy the job? And the examiner actually had to say to her, "I'm not going to answer you. I'd like you to just concentrate on this, please."
Yeah,
Which helped, it helped her refocus. And it was nice of the examiner to do that and not just ignore her. She communicated with the pupil, just concentrate on this, please. So I think talking's fine. It's learning when to give talking a job, when it's appropriate to talk, maybe when
I
it's
couldn't
not
agree
appropriate
more.
to
I
talk.
mean, I can be a chatterbox. Do I like the
Same.
sound of my own voice? I don't think so. I get sick of the sound of my own voice, but I do like a good chat. And when I'm then met with a learner, and I don't just mean an L test learner, a learner of any capacity, where there's that synergy, that connection, where you
Mm,
can bounce off of one another, I am very aware, and
mm,
I address the elephant in the room in saying, look, we're both chatterboxes, so we've got to be careful here. You know, what effect is that going to have on us? And we need to make sure that we shut each other up when it's
yeah.
appropriate. And I say, I'm happy for you to ask me a question at any time, and if I feel it or deem it inappropriate timing, then I'll tell you, and I want you to do the same
Mhm.
thing as well. So I really do make sure that just because I'm the driving instructor, that I'm on the same playing field, and we're both in
Yeah.
control of this as much as one another, and we've both got responsibility for that. If something is a distraction, then tell me to
Yeah.
shut up, or tell me you don't understand, or and I'll change things. So
I agree, and I think sometimes owning it, if you've maybe asked a question at the wrong time and you think you are going to distract your learner, there is nothing wrong with going, oh, actually, ignore me, concentrate on this, or
yep,
I'm going to shut up a minute, concentrate on this. It's everybody then knows what everyone's doing in the car. Don't worry about answering me. You just focus on this, and we can carry on when it's suitable.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
So what about while we stick on kind of what learners hear, what they can do and what they can't do on test? What about that the rumor that they're not allowed to wear sunglasses on test? What do you make of that one?
Um, that's a good
I
one.
love how you subconsciously touched your glasses. I mentioned sunglasses and you went like that.
I've actually got a really weird pain in my eyebrow, and I've been trying to not touch it.
Oh gosh. It's all right. We all
um,
know now, so just touch it. It's fine.
that's a really interesting one because I don't allow them on lessons.
hmm
So I could, and that's my choice. And without going too far down the ins and outs, so I can understand where a myth or a rumor could come from with that
Mm.
if if it wasn't fully addressed. And even going down to, can I wear sandals? Can I wear sliders and Crocs and all this other stuff?
Crocs.
There's Yeah, you get that so much, and that's something else I prefer not to have in the car as well. And we have that conversation as to why. Listen, it's not illegal, but what if? If it's not explored enough, and there's not enough understanding there. Yeah,
Mhm.
it could be. My instructor said you're not allowed to wear sunglasses, when actually what was meant is that they'd prefer you not to for this reason. But if you want to go
What reasons could there be, do you reckon? Give us a couple of reasons of why an instructor might not want their learner to wear sunglasses on the lessons and on the test.
just before I answer that, what I was going to say is that although I'm saying to preferably not wear sunglasses for X, Y, and Z, there's nothing against it on the test.
Mm. Mm.
There's absolutely fine, and there could be very good reasons why somebody may have a corrective lens of some description. There's all sorts of different lenses out there, isn't there? And somebody may
Mm.
need that, and of course, if that need far outweighs what I think could potentially be a negative impact, then of course,
Mm.
we adjust to suit. Your next question was reasons why.
Hmm.
There's a number of reasons. I guess that my first one is I want to absolutely know, especially in the early days, that I know where they're looking, when
Yeah.
they're getting information. And being somebody that wears glasses myself, I'm fully aware when I'm having training that people really, especially I wear thick
Yeah.
ones, it really detracts from being able to see with their eyes moving. Now,
It is hard, isn't it? When you've got the thick
hmm,
bit, it is hard to see where they're moving their eyes, definitely.
and if I'm wearing glasses as well, I've got it's harder in a peripheral.
Mm.
To be fair, these new glasses they're a bit higher up, so a bit easier. But I'm
Very
aware that
snazzy.
there's I'm aware that there's trainers out there and instructors that will have the debate where once you're experienced enough, you should be able to see from their actions
Mm.
as to whether they've looked. If they've looked in that left mirror, then they wouldn't have. And there was a car there, then they wouldn't have moved over. And there is some weight to that, and I do agree absolutely. Um, but in the early days, I want to maximize the opportunity to be able to see them actually doing it, so that I'm better prepared for if something is missed and needs correcting. So I just feel more comfortable. However, with somebody a little bit further on in the journey, then I don't have an issue.
Yeah, because you can pick up on those other cues. Um,
Yeah, I mean, working with a full license holder, for argument's sake, in
yeah.
whatever they're doing, training wise,
Mm.
testing wise, yeah, there's a
Mm.
lot more to it. You can see a lot more. Their awareness is a bit more obvious.
I think it can always be a good conversation when your learner does say, am I allowed to wear my sunglasses on my lessons or am I allowed to wear them on my test? Bringing into that conversation about the legality of wearing sunglasses at night as well. And there are certain strengths of sunglass, if that's the correct terminology, that you can't wear at night. And having a conversation about that, just so they know, I'm a bugger for wearing sunglasses. I will wear them when it's snowing. I'll always have them on my head in the daytime. And there does get a point throughout the night, throughout the evening, where you're like, I can't have these on anymore. I can't see. It's no good. So obviously that's not test related, but it's definitely a conversation that you can have about sunnies with your pupils, isn't it? To find out. I
Yeah,
didn't know anything about it until I was a PDI and I learnt about it, and I thought, bloody hell, there's actually like you can't wear a certain strength or whatever it is at
yeah,
night. It's obvious. I say it's obvious. We think it's obvious, but there might be people that don't know, and there's nothing wrong with bringing that into the conversation. Bless you.
yeah.
Um,
I don't have it happen, uh, if at all, with a learner L test.
mm,
Honest, I think I can't recall any anyway. Doesn't mean to say it hasn't happened, but
mm,
normally, um, full license holders would be more inclined to bring
mm,
them.
mm. Well, if it's anyone like me, if I didn't have my contact lenses in, I couldn't see the screen in front of me now. I'm blind. So if I were taking my driving test in my glasses and it was sunny, I would want my prescription sunglasses. I would need my prescription sunglasses because I wouldn't be able to see. So, like you say, it depends on a lot of factors, but regarding whether it being a myth or a rumor, yeah, it is. You
Yeah.
can wear them.
I mean, ultimately,
Just
I've got overall responsibility in that vehicle, and I will do what I feel most comfortable or advise what I feel most comfortable with. But like you say, weighing up the pros and cons,
mm,
then fine. Yeah, I mean, I've got prescription sunglasses. I'm in the car a lot. You've got the greenhouse effect, the damage it can do to our eyes. So it's important that we look after our eyes. But I can still drive in the sun. But yeah, like you say, we're all different.
yeah.
But the myth and rumor was that you're not allowed them on a lesson or a test. Was the question?
You're not allowed them on a test.
Okay. Well, as far as I'm aware, no rule against it.
Perfect. Amazing. Let's move on to the next myth and rumor. I love this one.
By
It
the way,
depends where you.
I don't know what you're about to throw at me either, do I?
I
So
know, I love this. I didn't prepare you for this, which is amazing. We will have all heard this. Every instructor up and down the country will have heard a form of this. You're more likely to pass on a Monday. You're more likely to pass at 8 a.m. You're more likely to pass on a Friday. What do you think about that? Where's that myth and rumor come from?
So the myth being like a certain day or time that you're more likely to pass.
In
Well,
your area at your test center? Yeah, where's that come from? Why have we got that?
well, interestingly, I can't speak for the DVSA because I've never worked for them and I don't have inside knowledge. That was told to me when I was about to take my L test that if you get I can't remember the exact details, but if you got one of the earlier sessions, sorry, the earlier slots, the test is shorter. And I think there was a myth floating around at the time that if you were stuck in traffic, the test is shorter, things like
Yeah.
this. But I think that was starting to be debunked at the time.
Mm,
I don't know if it was true. I don't. But when I went for my test, it was, it might have been a Monday, actually, I think, Monday morning.
of
It's
course.
shorter. And it actually was.
Mm.
It was a shorter test. Now, and if I look at, there's a local test centre, perhaps I won't mention which one, where from my experience on a particular day from a particular time, they also come back a lot quicker.
They have to legally be out for 30 minutes, don't they? Minimum. Our test center manager told us that. And sometimes they're back within 32 minutes and you think, oh goodness, thank goodness my car's back okay. But
So
yeah, everyone else is then still 6, 7 minutes behind.
yeah,
But those
so
ones that are coming back early, are they passing? The rumor is you're more likely to pass at this test time.
well,
Is that because it's shorter, so there's less chance to make a mistake?
so clearly there's. I don't want to get anyone in trouble or anything, but
No.
I've witnessed things myself. So is there some truth to that? Maybe. I don't think I'd be able to debunk that myth because
Mm,
I need to look at the stats, wouldn't I? Are they more likely to pass in less of a time? Well, I guess there's less time to make a mistake,
mm.
potentially. So
Yeah, maybe.
if I'm a little bit, I'm not sure, I can
Mm,
absolutely understand why people outside of our industry might think,
mm.
well, last few of my mates have taken a test on Monday at around about 9 o'clock, and
Yeah.
they've all passed. So maybe a bit of superstition creeping in there as well. And
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. I think there's too many uh factors and unknown variables for it to be quantified and measured. You know, the people, let's say the past 4 Mondays, everyone that was there at the 9 a.m. test has passed. Were they just good drivers? Surely all the examiners were different. The routes might have been different. The situation's different. The experience of that learner driver is different. So how can you measure it based on just time unless the examiners are told on this time, guys, on this day, every week, can you please pass a hell of a lot of learners?
which is not going to be happening. I can't imagine that happening. Like you say, there's far too many variables. I mean, if we're superstitious, hey, maybe there's some weight to it. Maybe if the stars align and your angel numbers 1111 is your lucky number,
11-11.
then hey, look, just run with your superstition and go with it. But
Yeah.
I don't advise learners to go and take a test at a certain day at a certain time. I mean,
Mm.
if you're booking a 7 a.m. 7:30 slot, then I'm not going to be there because I'm still finishing my first cup of tea, and yeah. So, but yeah, no, I mean,
Well, well, this one leads really nicely onto the next myth and rumor. So that one we're just going to leave hanging in the air because we
are we
can't.
saying that? Are we saying that? Yeah, we've got to conclude it though, right? So, is it a myth or is it not?
I think you can conclude something by calling it inconclusive. Sit on that fence, just sit
I don't
firmly
know.
on that fence with
I don't know how
it.
I feel about that. I'm gonna say maybe there's some weight. If in your circle there might be some weight to that.
In your circle, in person X's circle. It's
But
too.
can I caveat that under no uncertain terms that I'm saying that any governing body DVSA it has anything to do with that. I'm going with superstitiously or maybe another dimensionally stars might align.
You know, when I send you this boo basket, I'll send you a shovel and all to keep digging that hole that you're getting yourself in.
Oh, I'm brilliant. I'm a great hole digger.
Next one is my favorite. I commented this in our group. Eat a
Can't
banana.
remember what it is.
Eat a banana. If you eat a banana, you're gonna pass your tests. It's a sure thing, everyone. Go off and eat your sen a banana. What do you reckon?
Yasen.
Eat your sen
Eat
a banana.
sen.
That's Sheffield, that. What do you reckon?
Um, so I haven't heard eat a banana, you'll pass your test, but I have heard banana is good at calming,
Hmm.
reducing anxiety.
Hmm.
So whether that's a Chinese whispers thing or there's some medical research behind that, and unfortunately, I haven't done any medical research behind it. However, I'm going to own up and say I have said I've heard this. I don't know how true this is, but if you like bananas, please don't try this if you're allergic to them. Maybe eat a banana and it might help reduce your anxiety. But I do pair that in with some other techniques that I've learned along the way, brought into reducing nerves and anxiety. So maybe there's an element of psychological.
Like a placebo?
Yeah.
Hmm. Potentially.
Um, but I don't think, I'm surprised that people would say, eat a banana, you'll pass your test, because what if they don't? I mean, that's a
They're just not
bold
going to eat bananas again, are
statement.
they?
I mean, one, they're going to hate me, and two, they're never going to eat a banana again in their life.
Hmm.
Um, so, I mean, eat a banana, you'll pass your test. I'm going to go with rumor because I don't know, it just feels very, very bold. But
I don't think it's something that comes from the instructor. I don't think the instructor is saying, right, you got your test tomorrow, eat a banana tonight because you'll pass your test tomorrow. And then if they don't, they then hate the instructor. I
right.
think this is something that's shared across friend groups because they've heard it from somewhere. But there
So
is
the,
science in it. There's a vitamin in bananas called tryptophan. I hope I've said that right, which like converts into serotonin, the happy hormone. But you would have to eat 20,000 bananas to get that produced.
but then there's other stuff in bananas that are harmful to you. I mean, they're heavy in metals, aren't they?
There's stuff in everything that's good and bad for you in everything, isn't
So if
there?
you eat 20,000 bananas, you'll pass your test, but you might die from the other stuff. Right.
Potentially,
So
potentially.
so
Yeah.
so therefore you've got a little bit of science of there's some benefits potentially, or maybe exaggerated benefits. I don't know. But certainly yeah, I mean, I guess I've been recommending eating a banana because it might help reduce your anxiety without any backbone at all behind that.
Hmm.
So maybe, yeah, I'm spreading rumors too. I don't know.
Well, I'm going to go with myth, rumor, or true. It's true that a banana can help you. It does convert into serotonin. There's truth in that. Whether one banana will help you feel at ease enough to help you feel confident to pass your test, I think that's a myth.
How much
I
of
think
that?
it's more a placebo effect, in
I was
my
just going to
opinion.
say, maybe that
Mm.
one banana can create the placebo enough of 20,000 bananas and get you through your test.
It's like Popeye eating spinach, isn't it? That was just that made him go like that.
No, have you watched it? He actually got big arms.
No, well, I think it was all in his head. We were all just in Popeye's brain, and he thought his arms got big. Yeah,
Thanks
it's
for ruining my
placebo.
childhood, Becky.
Yeah, placebo. You are welcome. Okay, so moving away from the learners a little bit, and let's have a little look at a couple of myths and rumors that we might get as instructors. And the first one that I would want to raise is join us, sign up for a trainee license, become a driving instructor, and you can earn 50 grand a year. You can earn 40 grand a year. You can earn X, Y, and Z. I think that's something that is spread around a lot in the industry and you hear it a lot. It's advertised a lot. Is it true? Can you do that? Is it just a rumor?
Yeah, you could do that. I,
Elaborate.
I think you could. I mean, if you work enough and don't have a life, then I think you probably could.
I think the reason why I wanted to raise this one is because, yeah, of course you can. Of course you can. You can earn whatever you like, can't you? Anyone can earn anything they want if they put enough work in. So yeah, it's true. However, I think you're kind of sold a dream a little bit with some of the stuff for instructors when they come into our industry. And then it doesn't always pan out like that. You're not sold the truth of, well, learners might cancel. You could get poorly. You might not pass your part three. You might not. There's so many factors with it that I think it's more a bit of a rumor that it's just expected that you can become a driving instructor and earn 50 grand a year. I would think that's a rumor rather than it being truth.
I mean, if we're talking about a dream or reality, because you could make it a reality, I think you'd be in the minority. I certainly didn't earn that figure when I started. I don't think I'd want to try and earn that now solely on learners either. I mean, the job was very, very addictive,
Yeah.
and you can find yourself back to back, and I got myself ill because of it.
Mm.
And also, then I slowed down my learning because I was earning.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think there's some weight to potentially selling that dream and that
Mm.
figure that can then have a knock on effect about people earning and not learning. And I'm a firm one for being transparent with earnings. You know, when somebody is looking to enter the business, or maybe they've looked elsewhere, that part of that conversation when I'm exploring whether I can offer what they're looking for is their break even? You know, what do they need to earn? What do they want to earn? And at what point would I expect them to be earning that? But we could also look at the whole 40 hours and how that's sold.
Mm.
You know, if I was to
Well,
start selling my training course at 80 hours, you get 80 hours with me, but it's a couple of grand more. I'm
mm.
going to have less. I'm going to have less people buy that, right?
Mm.
Because well, why is he giving me more? But I've got to pay for more, and everybody else is doing 40 hours. So is there an element of this 30, 40, 50 grand has been listed on so many different websites, so many
Mm.
different companies because it's the norm. And if I now write that actually in your first year you'll earn 35 grand, well, I'm going to go with this other company because they told me I'm going to earn 50 grand doing the same thing.
But then it also links to the somebody commented this on our post, the myth or rumor that you can work when you want. Do you think they link?
Well, you can work when you want. You know, everybody's situation is different, and again, there needs to be a conversation from the trainer, the sponsor, the person looking after them within their business, within their training. Maybe that doesn't happen enough. I don't know. Um, Certainly, in my environment, that is part of the business orientation. That
Mm.
that you know, when you choose to work, will have a direct effect on your earnings and your potential earnings. You know, if somebody comes to me and says that, well, I only want to work between 9:30 and 2:30 whilst my kids are at school, is it going to be harder to find customer in that time?
Yeah, which then
You
makes
know,
it harder to get that income that was maybe sold to you at the
right.
beginning.
And you know, it does the conversation happen where okay, we might be get a number of learners and customers within those times, but as you start filling those gaps, it becomes harder,
Mm.
right? So then the onus is on the training provider or the school that they're working with or whoever that might be to fill that. And how long does that take? You know, what resources have they got available to make that happen? So yes, you can work when you want, but and yes, it directly ties with how much you want to earn.
Mm.
You know, there's now you can have pricing structures that favour the less favourable times. You know, certainly coming out of COVID, I've noticed a trend with the instructors that I've seen them work less weekends, less evenings.
Yes, I
You know,
agree. Yeah.
and we can explore why. You know, lots more people working from home. Um, Bosses and companies are a lot more lenient. Productivity increases when they're allowed to do these sort of things and time out for it, and lots and lots of different reasons, really. So, is it a myth or not? I don't know, but there's definitely links and there's definitely effects. Yeah.
Where do you think where do you think this all because there is this kind of once you're an ADI, we see it a lot all over Facebook, don't go with a big school, don't do this, don't do that. And I think you kind of get this impression, is it a myth or a rumor? Don't go with X, Y, and Z because you have to work stupid hours to try and just break even. You can't earn all this and stuff. But then as somebody coming into the industry, that's what you see sometimes. When you Google, I want to be a driving instructor, sometimes that's the first thing you see, and you don't know if it's true or if it's a rumor or a myth or whatever.
Yeah, so
So, yeah,
we're
go
now
on.
we're now going down more into the business side of things, aren't we? And yes, that fluffy figure, whatever it is that's been put in front of them, is well, actually, what do I need to generate to
Mm,
make the income that's actually in my pocket? Because presenting 50 grand in front of somebody can look really good, really appealing, but is that in my pocket or my turnover?
mm,
What is that figure? What does it mean? Because you could go with school number one and you've got, costs of so much. And well, with this training provider in school, my costs are this much. And that can obviously directly affect your bottom line being the money going into your pocket, can't it? And I
mm.
think that absolutely needs to be explored, and maybe that doesn't happen enough. I can't really comment too much because, having my own school, I do market research, of course, but I don't go and sit in front of other driving schools and quiz them on what they talk to their new trainees about, or somebody coming into the industry. But I'd like to think that that is something that is spoken about.
Mm.
But I've also met people that aren't business people, aren't business minded. They've been employed all their life, so maybe they don't know what questions to ask.
Yeah,
Maybe they just
yeah.
don't know. And if it's not brought up and spoken about, then
Mm,
then that can be missed. And then further down the line, it can be, well, I was promised I was going to get 50 grand,
mm,
but I didn't realise that that was only if I did X amount of hours, evenings
mm,
and weekends at this price point, which I can only achieve in a year's time.
mm.
When really, I think the onus is on the provider. So somebody like myself, that I explore that and make sure it's completely
Yeah.
transparent. And you can lose sales because of this, because that mindset is, well, I can go with these guys and I can earn X amount of money. Um,
Well, let me just stop you there. So you've just said the onus is on providers to be upfront and clear. So maybe the providers that aren't being upfront and clear, is that where these myths and rumors come from then? Is that the source of it, do you reckon? And
well,
why there's that idea in our industry that when you first think about I'm going to be a driving instructor and you think, yeah, I can work 10 till 2 every day and I'm done and I can earn X, Y, and Z. And then actually when you're in it, you're like, oh yeah, but they're all at college and I need to do evenings and I need to do a Saturday morning and I need to work on a Sunday afternoon. You're not told that at the beginning by some providers that aren't upfront and honest.
well, I think it depends on your interpretation of upfront and honest, because I haven't seen any provider that doesn't show a
Mm,
potential earning. And I don't know if I can't speak for people, but I'd like to think and hope that those figures aren't put out without some substance.
yeah.
Maybe it could be worded differently, and I'm not here to tell people how to run their business, but it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because although in one breath I've said the onus is on the provider to perhaps explore that a little bit more,
Mm,
but then there is an element of responsibility with the person that's going to sign a guideline and a contract.
mm.
Fully understand what that expectation is, but
So being able to work when you want and earn when you want, we're saying it's true, but you've got to make sure you do your homework and you have your expectations and you understand what's expected of you within your reasonable grasp of being able to achieve that.
yeah, you can work whenever you want. You can charge whatever you like.
Mm,
If you want to charge £70 an hour, go ahead. You may not get much work for it,
mm,
but you can certainly
mm.
charge it. If you only want to work 2 hours a day, then work 2 hours a day. That's your choice.
But you'll only get that income for 2 hours a day. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, dokes, amazing. That leads us on to our last one. I love this one. And I want to know what you
You've
think
loved
about
all of
this.
them.
Oh, I know. I think they're all good. I really liked this topic. I thought it was a really good topic. And I also want to know what you think about this one. You only learn to drive when you pass. We hear that one a lot. Myth, rumor, true.
I guess I've heard that before. Never really understood what it really meant
Hmm.
until recently. And I think there possibly might be some truth to this back in the day. And I'm going to maybe be controversial here. Back in the old way, forgive me anyone for saying the old way of telling and teaching. Do it this way to pass your test.
Hmm.
You got to do this to pass your test, and if you do this, you'll pass your
I
test.
had that. Yeah, my
Yeah,
instructor Gary drove me about and then went, right, Becky, swap. And I'd go, oh, okay.
just do what
Yeah,
I did. Yeah.
just do what I did. Yeah.
I'm not saying that happened for everybody, but so then the phrase of you'll learn to drive after you've passed your test, I guess, would make sense
Hmm.
because they've taught you to pass the test, do things a certain way, but now you'll go out and experience different things. Whereas now in the more client centered, the coaching, dealing with risk, we and if we look at coaching deeply, that it's about exploring this stuff and
Yeah.
behavioral change coming into it now and really unlocking potential and asking hypothetical questions, the what ifs, and like you said earlier, you've got people in the car now. How's that going to change things? And what if we did this road in the twilight hour? How might the road look then with all these trees and X, Y, Z? Um, so we really start to get deep into how their mind really works, and we get things into like your morals don't really change. Maybe your political views don't really change too much, and or religious views don't really change too much. And if we're now really tapping into how they work and
Mm-hmm.
sell them the idea of this makes sense and get it coming from them,
Hmm.
then they're going to apply what they've learned and their way of thinking to their drive, and it's ingrained in them, isn't it? So
Absolutely.
therefore, it's going to carry through beyond the test, and I think that's the way forward, certainly. So I'd like to think that we're preparing drivers for driving for life now.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
of course they're going to gain more experience the longer they're on the road. Somebody that does driving for a living and somebody that doesn't, of course, is going to have far more experiences on the road than somebody that doesn't. So I'm going to say there was probably some truth to that back then. That's my
Mhm.
opinion. Um, Less so now, and I'd like to hope that's probably
Mm.
stopped.
I would I'd love to have a debate about it, but I don't think we can we? I'll tell you a quick story about when I passed my test. The first time I drove over an hour's drive somewhere, I I was on the motorway and I started swerving onto the amber reflective studs on the central reservation. And I had to quickly straighten myself up. And then we got to where we were going and I reversed into the car park was rammed. There was one space in between two cars, and I had never been taught to do it in between cars because I'd been taught there's loads of spaces at the test centre, Becky. You'll be fine. You'll pass your test. Don't worry. And I hit a car. I think I'd been driving 3 weeks after passing my test, and I hit a car. And now, based off my experience, learners will do it in between cars. They will do it everywhere. I will say, what if it was Christmas Eve and it was random? That's your only spot. Come on, let's go and get it in. Because at some point, it's going to be Christmas Eve for them, and they'll have forgotten Christmas pudding, and they've got to go and park in between cars. So yeah, I agree with you. I think we're better now. Not that people before weren't better. I think we're just more educated now. And I think we care more as well. We care more about helping young drivers not go off and kill themselves. And I think if we can ask all those what if questions so that the learner goes, oh, actually, what would I do if it was 4 a.m. and my mate was telling me to go faster? And what would I do if my mum phoned me and said that I needed to get to the hospital because my granddad's about to take his last breath, how would I feel if I were driving like that? And they can think about those scenarios. Then when it does happen, if it ever does, they're going to have some solutions in place. When I nearly swerved into the central reservation crossing those amber studs, I didn't have any solutions in place. I panicked and luckily survived. When I hit that car, that was on me. That was on me because I did it, but I'd never been taught to park in between cars. So
Absolutely. I
yeah.
completely agree. And you hit the nail on the head with your example there, is that, ask your learner, what obviously as long as it's safe, what would you do if I wasn't here? What's
That's
your
it, and that's
options?
the best one. Yeah, the best one I love to reply to my learners with, as long as it's safe to give them this, is when they say, "What's the speed limit again?" And I'll say, "If I wasn't here, how would you figure this out?"
Yeah.
And just see what they come up with, because there's going to be a point when I'm not here and they're on a road that they don't know, and they've got to figure it out themselves. So, what
Yeah.
factors are they taking into account to figure that out?
And
Because
sometimes we need to give options, don't we? The age-old saying of, what do you think? And oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
The easy cop out, the schoolboy cop out, and I don't know because I know she'll leave me alone, kind of thing. Um, yeah, give them some options, and then throw in, what if I wasn't here? And I think those, we're talking very, very simple terms here, aren't we? Gets them thinking we're not teaching robots for a test anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. We
We're
care about that individual right there rather than
what
just teaching each one.
Well, I like to think of it as we don't teach robots anymore. We
Mm,
teach thinkers.
mm,
We've got people thinking on the road about what they're doing, what they're planning, what
mm,
they're predicting, what's their escape route, what's their escape plan, what if it doesn't go to plan,
mm,
um, and conscious drivers. Gone are the days where you've got MSM, check your mirrors, do your signal, do your move. Anyone can do those head movements, can't they? But are they
mm.
actually looking, and are they seeing? And how they're
Absolutely.
responding to that. So yeah, no, I think yeah. So to conclude for me, possibly some truth previously. Maybe somebody wants to come back at me and debate it some more, but yeah, certainly now I think less so.
Yeah, so you only learn to drive once you pass. Now I think that's if you are a client-centered instructor, if you are putting your learner in the middle of their learning and making them their focus and doing all that what if and giving them opportunities to go through a drive-through and let's drive you to college and let's have a go at this and let's try that because one day you're going to do that. So let's do it now while I'm here to help keep you safe.
Yeah,
I think if you're doing all that, then it's a complete myth and a rumor.
yeah.
If it was like you said, the olden days where it's you need to do this to pass your test, then yeah, I agree with you. Truth, definitely.
And I'm not saying that beyond the test that they're not going to gain more experience because of course they are. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah. Amazing. We've gone through them all. Can you think of any other myths and rumors that you want to debunk or squash at the moment, or
I
are we?
think I think that's enough, and we can always do another episode on it where we can maybe we get some comments on today because they always sparks debate, doesn't it? And I'm sure some people are going to agree with me, some people are going to disagree, and vice versa. And that's okay. It's an opinion.
Perfectly okay. Yeah, we encourage
Um,
it. I think you're right as well, actually. If people have heard any more, let us know. Let's do another one. I've loved this. This is such a good, meaty topic to talk about because where do they come from? I get so curious about them as well. Who started that? Where did it come from? Who was the first person to go, do you know what? Eat a banana. I love
chicken or
it.
the
I think
egg?
you are.
Chicken or the egg?
Chicken or the egg. There you go. Myth or rumor, chicken or the egg. I've never really
Um,
got one. I've never really
don't
understood
get
that
me started on that. Um, yeah, and I think that each of these topics I've tried to, I love to waffle on, and I could talk about each of those particular ones for so long and
one.
really dig deep, find the root, or maybe you never would, I don't know. Yeah, and I try not to go too much down the training route with it, and I'm sure if people want to explore some of those elements in a little bit more depth, then fine. That's good. But yeah, no, I think there's definitely room for another episode on it. If people like it, let us know what you think.
Amazing. Lovely. Thank you so much, Scott, for having a cuppa with me, an actual cuppa this time with our mugs.
I finished it within about 6 minutes. That's the problem. I need a bigger mug.
Oh God, I'll put it in your boo basket. It's all right.
There you go.
Right, lovely. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again for the next one. Bye,
Perfect.
everyone.
Take care.